Toronto City Center Airport in the foreground. As you see high in the sky, we get closer looking down on Exhibition Place, and the cars are out on the first of 3 warm-up laps. Let's check in our Firestone weather conditions. And we told you that the heat wave broke up here. It is 75 degrees, and for everybody sweltering in 100 plus in the States, our hearts are with you because it was hot up here also. Track temperature of comfortable 87. Now across the top of the screen, you'll see the entire starting field. Of course, a very interesting front row with Dario Franchitti alongside Will Power. Let's check on the onboard cameras. We've got 7 for you from back to front. James Hinchcliffe, he's going to be starting 19th in the GoDaddy.com onboard. Then you've got J.R. Hildebrand. He is going to be starting 15th in the National Guard onboard camera. A little further forward, it is Oriol Servia. He is starting 14th. Servia has the Firestone onboard camera. And the 83 of Charlie Kimball starting 13th with the Novo Nordisk camera.
And Ryan Briscoe, who drives for the powerhouse Penske team, has 6 wins in the IndyCar Series. He's starting 12th, driving his Izod machine. And then along Brian Hunter-Ray, who is starting 6th, who's done a great job in qualifying aboard the DHL Sundrop machine. He's won the last 2 races, but they are on the short ovals. And then Will Power, who's the points leader, who is starting 2nd along Dario, as you mentioned, Marty. And he's the guy that is really the guy to beat here because he is so strong and a 2-time winner here at Toronto. All
right, let's quickly get the final updates from pit road. Jamie Little, what do you have?
Well, Marty, the Andretti name is synonymous with racing and winning here at Toronto. Michael Andretti alone has 7 wins, his last coming back in 2001. Now his son, Marco Andretti, hopes to carry that torch today. And although he's starting deep in the field, he knows how to pass here. Last year in this race, he gained 16 positions. He's hopeful he has a car to do it again. Rick DeBrule?
Well, Jamie, the big story here could be the battle between the Davids and the Goliaths. On the front row, the Goliaths, the powerhouse teams, Penske, Ganassi, Dario Franchitti, Will Power, lots of victories, lots of money. But on the second row, well, look at this. You got Dale Coyne, represented by Justin Wilson, and these guys, Dragon Racing, represented by Sebastian Bourdais. Both of them have won here. They're starting in the second row. And trust me, when they see an opening, they're going to be ready to pounce. Vince?
The last time the series was on a road and street course layout, Scott Dixon took home the checkered flag when he won at Detroit's Belle Isle. In fact, in many ways, it's been a highlight reel season for this 9 team. They've been on the podium. They've finished runner-up 3 times. They've led more laps than any other car, any other team. But they've also had finishes of 17th, 18th, and 23rd. Scott Dixon knows if he's to win his 3rd championship this year, he can ill afford any more poor results. They've had a winning caliber car this weekend. Let's see what they can do with it.
Thank you, Vince. We got a great crowd on hand, and glad that you're with us. Our broadcast is available in Spanish. All you have to do is activate your SAP button. It's presented by ESPN Deportes. There's the flyover from the Canadian Air Force. 4 cars were penalized because of engine changes. Alex Tagliani will be moving back from 6th to 16th. Then James Hinchcliffe will be moving back to 19th to start this race. James Jakes, as the jets go thundering by, he'll be starting 24th in the number 19, and Simona Di Silvestro will be starting 25th in the field in the only Lotus. And there, those 2 are at the very back of this 25-car field.
And Marty, you talk about the hometown driver, James Hinchcliffe, a lot of pressure on him. When I talked to him, he said, it's almost like you're running at Indianapolis here when you're at Toronto. And I felt that. There's so much request for your media time. You don't really have time to go slow and get with your engineer as much as you would like to. And this, he said, has been tougher to him than at Indy.
6-time Dario Franchitti and Will Power have started on the front row together. Franchitti holds a sizable margin, 4-1 in the wins. Here we go, coming around turn 10 and 11 as we will be getting ready to go green. Pace car has pulled off. That is the final turn coming up right there under the Honda Bridge. It is turn 11. They'll come down the front straightaway. Crowd is on their feet. And wow, Franchitti really jumps out early. This race is green, down into 1. Hold on. Down Lakeshore Boulevard for the first time. This entire stretch has been repaved. It is the smoothest section on the course, and then it gets real bumpy when you make the turn here into 3. And look at Justin Wilson on the outside, Scott, taking over that second spot.
And he started that move back down turns 1 and 2 and got it done going into 3. And Will Power very smartly this early in the race, Marty, did not try to push the issue.
On board with Will. Through turn 7, that full throttle, quick little flick of a right-hander. This has been the treacherous corner, turn number 8, really rough. Through turns 9 and 10, that would be pit in right there to the right of the drivers. Through turn 11, there we've completed 1 lap.
Saw a couple of different lines taken by Dario Franchitti and Justin Wilson through that snaking section to get on to the front stretch here.
Looking to make a move. That's the 15 of Takuma Sato getting underneath the 14 of Mike Conway. As we all know, Sato not afraid to make the bold move. Farther back, side-by-side action as they come down towards turn number 3. That was Simon Pagenaud. Here's Sato, and again with Conway. Conway on the outside. Ooh, he gives him enough room.
Oh, nicely done this early in the race. There again, we've seen instances in that corner before, but obviously Conway got a good run coming out of turns 2 down that Lakeshore Boulevard.
So Conway back in front of Sato. Back up front. Race leader Dario Franchitti, a 3-time winner here, followed by Justin Wilson. Then it is Will Power, Scott Dixon, and Sebastian Bourdais. That is your top 5 with Ryan Hunter-Reay in 6th.
And you're watching Dario just getting a couple of car lengths every time he gets through that turns 9, 10, and 11. And that's what you want to do to be able to keep that gap going on to Lakeshore Boulevard. This is where the drivers going down the straight here up over 170 miles an hour. If they get close enough, they can get a draft and maybe have a run at the driver up in front by diving on the inside of turn 3.
Side by side, that's the 38. That was Graham Rahal. Here is Tony Kanaan trying to stick his nose in there as well. There's Kanaan right behind the 22 of Oriol Servia.
And he's on the charge. You can just tell by the way his car is maneuvering and being very aggressive right now. But what you do to pass here is you set somebody up a couple of turns ahead. Now coming through here in turn 8, he'll try and get a good run coming out of 8 through 9, 10, and 11. Hopefully he has a shot at passing him down here into turn 1. If you can't make that happen, then you take a charge going down the backstretch.
Servia 14th, Kanaan in that 15th position. And that's Hinchcliffe now running in 16th. On board with James Hinchcliffe.
Now remember, we have the push to pass, probably too early in the race to start using that, but you have 100 seconds. You almost think of it almost like a power boost button on your video game that you can get an extra 30 horsepower. But I also like to say it's almost like a debit card, Marty, because you have 100 seconds, and if you use it all up early, you have nothing left to recharge your system with at the end.
Let's go back to the start because James Hinchcliffe had an interesting exchange on the radio after this happened.
And for Hinch there, what happens there, Marty, is that he's on the outside and Hildbrand's going wide. He almost put him into that outside wall.
There you see first and second coming through your picture. These guys have been duking out the championship the last couple of years between the two of them. Now here is the pass for second that put Will Power into second. This happened while we were watching the replay on Hinchcliffe.
Nicely timed. We talk about drafting going down Lakeshore Boulevard, pulling out the last moment, surprising your opponent, and he gets that done cleanly. There again, too early in the race to try to contest that.
And these two are trying to open up some ground now on Justin Wilson, who is back to third.
I think really what was happening is that for Will Power, he was watching Dario start to drive away just a little bit, and he realized he can't really afford to let him do that, so he probably started to drive just a little bit harder, starting to use maybe up a little bit more fuel than what he wanted to if he was trying to conserve early. But you can't do that with Dario Franchitti. If he gets a lead on you, it's hard to get it back.
Let's check in again with James Hinchcliffe and his pit. Rick, what are you hearing?
Well, let's talk about what their strategy is. And at this point, they know from the very start they're probably going to run an off strategy. The point being that they are already so far back, they need to do something to get up there. I was talking with the strategist, George Klotz. He says, we're going to gamble. And they said, no, wait a minute. You have to have money to gamble. We've got nothing. We got nothing to lose.
16th right now. Here we go. Battle for the lead. And it is Will Power taking the lead away from Dario Franchitti. So all of a sudden, Will Power's car has come to life here in the last 3-4 laps as the race has come to him.
Well, it has, and he's letting his car come to him. Once the tire pressures start to come up and the tire temperatures start to come up, you then see what type of car that you have. Now, on this long run, we're thinking they can get up to about 30 laps on a tank full of fuel. We'll wait to see if his car stays with him. He gets faster as the run goes on, or if the car starts to back up and Dario starts to pick up speed.
You got to remember, Will has 3 victories this year, leads in that category, and all of them were on the road and street courses, as he knocked down 3 in a row after Helio Castroneves won the first race of the year at St. Petersburg. We've worked lap number 7 of 85. Stay with us. We'll be back after a word from your ABC stations. We've had our first dramatic turn in today's race. You're looking at Scott Dixon. He came into this race 3rd in points. And as you can see by the oil trail leading up to his car, his Honda engine has given way. He is out of this race, and he is shown in 25th and last position. What a hit he's going to take in the points.
And that's what drivers are talking about this year. Remember, we had just one engine manufacturer for many years, and Honda went years and years without engine failures, including racing at the Indianapolis 500. But now drivers are saying the points championship will not be decided until the end of the season because, like in my era, you lose engines or you lose components on the car. We've seen that this year.
Vince, let's get an update on what you're hearing down there in the pits.
Well, certainly frustrating for this Target team. They've had such a good season, as we indicated just before the race. Mike Hall communicating with Scott. Mike, any indication at all before I let go?
No indication at all. The engine, obviously terminal. The engine decided to leave us.
Unfortunate timing. Thanks, Mike. Marty.
Mike's still trying to keep a smile on his face. It's the 3rd DNF this year for Scott. He had a mechanical back at Long Beach, and of course the crash at Texas. As we said, he is going to take a huge hit in the points. We can also tell you Simona Di Silvestro has pitted, and she is in pit lane right now. She is shown in 24th position. Now, Dixon has had other engine issues. Your allotment is 5 at the beginning of the season, and this will now mean that Scott will be going to number 6. So next race, he will automatically have a 10-position penalty. So not only does he lose points, he's going to have a terrible start at the next race at Edmonton.
So if he even qualified on pole, he gets to start 10th there, essentially is what happens. So a little disappointing knowing that when you get to the next event.
All right, let's get back to the action on track. As you can see, we still got a great battle in the middle of this field. That's Takuma Sato in the 15 trying to hold off Tony Kanaan. And now that is 12th and 13th.
And Marty, we saw him on the inside going into turn 3. And the rule here in Toronto is that because there's a slight bend in that stretch, once you come out of turns 1 and 2 and you head down and you've got through that bend in the middle of the straightaway, if you choose to stay on the inside, you have to stay there. The driver then would try to drive around the outside, much like we saw Justin Wilson do earlier. If you cannot call that a defending move, so it's very interesting to see what side the drivers will choose. And as a driver, you know going down the straightaway if the competitor behind you has a run on you, so it's very simple. Just stay to the right.
Let's go back 2 laps ago. This is James Hinchcliffe trying to get around Tony Kanaan down Lakeshore.
There again, Tony had chosen to stay on the inside. Now Hinch is going to run out of room here. Yes, he is.
Whoa.
Oh, look at that.
Boys are playing rough early.
Just some great driving here, and Toronto brings that out in you simply because there's not simple turns here. There's not easy 90-degree turns. They're all confrontational, and you really have to push the issue if you want to get past the car in front of you.
They give you an idea on the lap times. A little more gap has opened up now between those two. Not missing anything up front. Will Power's lead over Dario Franchitti is 2.1 seconds. This is where the tightest battle has been on the racetrack.
And these guys are driving hard, Marty. It's so difficult to maneuver through this course, and it's not changed even since the years that I drove here. And there's so many different types of changes in the surface itself, from pavement to concrete. As we see Simona Di Silvestro on the right-hand side, and I did hear a motor go past the front stretch here off song just a little bit ago, and I'm wondering if that might have been her. But back to the battle here on the racetrack, and as a driver, you try to push the car and get just a little bit more out of it, and what you end up doing is making the car slide across the ground, and in that result, you end up losing time.
Vince, the 5 is in.
This is part of the strategy for EJ Viso going to the red tires, but the key is to not go a lap down because Will Power, the leader, will be less than a straightaway behind.
Power is coming through turn 8 right now, and Viso coming back out onto turn number 1. He will stay on the lead lap. So the strategy begins to unfold for those cars that were starting deeper in the field. We expect others to be pitting shortly. We're going to step aside quickly. We'll go side by side. There's your top 5 here at Toronto. Thanks to Side by Side, you saw the pit stops by Simon Pagenaud and Rubens Barrichello. They're back in 21st and 22nd. And here comes the number 2 of Ryan Briscoe. He peels off from his 9th position. 60 miles an hour. Vince, he's heading your way.
Well, and as Ryan Briscoe comes in to make his stop, they're going to put on the sticker reds for Briscoe as well. No other changes for the 2 car in the Roger Penske stable.
We have stayed green since the start of the race. We're working lap number 16 of 85. Will Power's lead over Dario Franchitti is now 2.9 seconds as Will has really got this thing dialed in. Wilson is now an additional 4 seconds behind Franchitti in 3rd. Bourdais is in 4th. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Mike Conway round out your top 6.
Now just watch his hands, Marty. He's very smooth because this is a very rough circuit, and usually you get pounded along here. But you can see he's going down there a little bit relaxed in the hands. Now he grips them a little bit tighter. And a lot of drivers going through this section are really just doing a tank slapper, as we call it. But he's pretty smooth for as rough as this circuit is. And you can see him now winding onto that backstretch. So 3.3 is what he's hearing right now. And then 8 seconds to 3rd place, which is Wilson. Great information for the driver to know because he can set his pace to what the drivers are doing behind him.
Vince, Tagliani's in.
Alex Tagliani with the sticker red tires going on as well. Remember, he had the outstanding qualifying effort, but got docked 10 positions because of a previous engine change. Smooth stop for the 98.
9.7 seconds on the clock. He will come back out into the race, shown in 21st position.
And what some of those guys are doing, Marty, they're taking the opportunity to pit early. Maybe they were stuck in traffic and not running the pace they think that they can run. So they'll come in, get fuel and tires, go back out. The track is clear around them and they can actually run a stronger pace. And if there is a yellow, then hopefully they've caught themselves moving up about 5 or 6 positions or more simply because they're able to go a little quicker.
You heard, don't worry about fuel. That's for the race leader. Here comes Hinchcliffe. Rick?
Yeah, Hinchcliffe comes in. Before he came in, they asked him, what do you need? He said, how about a turn of front wing? I got a little more understeer than he likes. Once again, this is part of that off strategy. Come in early, get out.
Wow, on the limiter, 7.8 seconds. Good quick stop.
And interesting to see, he took the red alternate tires off and put on the primary tire, the black sidewall tire. And if he had understeer, which he mentioned, putting in the front wing is the right move, make the front grip just a little bit better for him to get around the turns.
And as we were looking on all this pit action, you notice that Bourdais has gotten around Justin Wilson. So move Bourdais into 3rd, Wilson back to 4th. And here comes Mike Conway all over the 28 of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Driving in the ABC machine for A.J. Foyt. Very strong competitor. You know how quick he is on road courses and street courses. Remember, he had that horrific accident at Indianapolis a couple of years ago. He's come back through all his trainings, do a great job, and be competitive once again here in the IndyCar Series.
Conway's best finish this year back at Barber, 7th. Tony Kanaan is in. Jamie.
And it's a quick stop from Tony Kanaan, sticker reds, and he pitted the exact same time as Oriol Serbia, who was right ahead of him, who took sticker reds as well, both clean stops.
Pass right there, the 38, they're side by side, they're teammates. Oh no, this could be an interesting conversation back in the trailer. That Charlie Kimball, no severe damage.
Gets it done, and this is where you need to stay calm in that whole situation. We do need to make a note that when Tony Kanaan was leaving his pit box, his right rear wheel did hit the tire in the pit box ahead of him. It'll be interesting to see if that's going to cause reason for a penalty. We're going to watch here in a replay, and watch when he leaves. He'll just nick that wheel over just a little bit. Now that is up to the pit tech to make his decision on what happened there in that scenario. Again, you can see he's just sliding the car out, and that is so difficult because you're unleashing 700 horsepower, Marty, and very difficult this year still for the drivers. Come here. The clutch is on the steering wheel this year. It's not on the floor like it used to be, so you're trying to control a lot of things at once. As we watch,
Conway's taking a look underneath, and he's going to get the spot away. So move Conway into that number 5 spot ahead of Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Conway looking real racy. Started 11th. He has picked up 6 positions. He's now running 5th, and right in front of him is Justin Wilson. And boy, Wilson was loose there.
Yeah. Justin knows that Mike's on the charge, so he tries to get on the throttle a little bit more coming out of that carousel, and it cost him time. He's really taking the rear tires off the car right now simply because the car is being overworked. He's decided to pit.
So Justin Wilson peels off from 4th. That'll move Conway and everybody else up. He's coming to you, Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, he comes in overall happy with the car, wants a slight wing adjustment, some tire adjustment as well. Comes in actually very, very slow. Remember, they have not had a lot of laps this week, and in fact, he's only run about 30 laps, but because he has so much experience here, because he's done so well here, that's been able to keep him up. Nice clean stop, and he's out.
8.7 seconds as we are working lap number 21. Now remember, those who have not stopped are going to have to start thinking about it here in the not too distant future, because as you mentioned, Scott, we think the window is about 28-30 laps.
And remember, it's a different engine package here this year, Marty. We had the V8 normally aspirated engines last year. We're now running turbocharged motors, 2.2 liters. So getting to learn a lot about what these engines will give you at all these circuits that we're now returning back to.
You see across the top of your screen your top 5. Now we can tell you IndyCar is investigating. They have not made a decision. And no action, we are being told, will be taken against Rahal on the contact. Remember, he just came off probation at Iowa, the last race on the tour. And there you see Graham. Let's go back and show you this incident one more time.
Diving down the inside, and looks to have a clean move there, and he was beside Charlie Kimball. So in that scenario, Charlie probably just could have left a little bit more room for him, and Charlie would have had to stay on the brakes, turn in. So he thinks he's going to have him out-braked, actually, and and Rahal's in there pretty deep. I'm not sure that that was a bit of a 50-50 gamble on that one, because Rahal really drove that one in very, very deep in the turn.
Well, Kimball finds himself back in 19th place now, and there is Rahal. And
when you mentioned the probation for Graham Rahal, that was an incident back in Long Beach earlier in the year where he and Marco Andretti collided.
That's Hinchcliffe on the outside of Justin Wilson. And this is for position. This is for 15th on the racetrack. Now remember, both these guys have made pit stops. Hinchcliffe gets the spot.
And both those guys are on the primary tire, the black.
Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay into the pits for his stop. Vince?
He's finished 3rd here each of the last 2 years. They feel like they've got that kind of car again here today. But Ryan Hunter-Reay not completely happy with the way it's handling. He's going to try to change the driving style a little bit to help the car.
And we're getting information from IndyCar officials that Tony Kanaan will have to do a drive-through penalty for hitting that tire on pit road. And there he is as he's coming down. Now, to wait and see where this brings him back out in the rotation, and you can see some of the action going on a little further back. That's Pagenaud. The 19 of James Jakes, that is for 10th on the racetrack.
You can see James is fighting that car right there. It was a little hard on power down and a little difficult to try and turn through the turn. EJ Vizo right now with his teammate Rubens Barrichello. Both those guys look to be on the charge.
That was Alex Tagliani right in front of Barrichello. And that's Tony Kanaan right in front of Tags. Oh. That's 20th, 21st, and Rahal is into the wall at turn number 1. Local yellow right now. Now it is going full course. Pits are closed. And the yellow is out for the first time.
And it looks like Rubens was about ready to barrel in there. And this is the gamble that you play. If you had been inside the pit lane already when this yellow came out, you could have done your service work and come out. Now let's watch this in turn 1. You can see Helio Castroneves just in front of Graham Rahal. Locks the tires up, carrying too much speed, cannot get it slowed down, and just catches the wall.
No tires there to soften the blow, and his day is done.
Remember, the first race back here in 1986 was won by his dad, Bobby Rahal.
His only other DNF was when he crashed back at Long Beach. And if you remember, that was the incident involving he and Marco Andretti.
No, and this is something of his own doing, but he's not had a great season so far. I got to believe that he's disappointed, and it just makes me wonder if he's really happy with the team that he's with, in the sense right now that you always look at your teammates with Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon always up front. It always seems like Graham's just behind a little bit. Will he stay there, or will he maybe move off to a different team? Don't forget that his dad owns a team here that's also powered by Honda. And the next thing you have to think about, Marty, is that Dario has another year left on his contract after this year. Will Graham stay around and wait for that position that might open up, or is he going to be impatient and want to maybe move and be more competitive right away?
Graham's best finish, second back at Texas. And right now, we're going to have to wait and see how the strategy unfolds, because at lap 25, the top 7 cars, Power, Franchitti, Bourdais, Conway, Castroneves, Hildebrand, and Andretti, have not pitted. Simon Pagenaud in 8th has stopped. James Jakes in 9th has yet to stop. So this could really work out to Pagenaud's favor here if those top 7 cars do come in.
Well, I got to believe they're going to come in, obviously, to get the fuel once the pits are open. And for Simon Pagenaud, with a team being run by Rob Edwards, a lot of thinking going on there right now. And Simon Pagenaud was a guy, remember, that came to this series, had not run oval races before, has been competitive on ovals, but really I think is like Sebastian Bourdais. I mean, just a master at road courses, and not with some of the big teams here, but everybody really respects those guys' ability on these street and road courses.
There is Will Power. His sizable lead is gone. If I knew he was going to say that, I wouldn't have said it earlier. I would let him tell everybody at home.
You can see all the rubber starting to accumulate offline just a little bit there. That's called the rubber marbles, which is already starting to come along. But, you know, this is a pressure time for all the crew members when we do open up the pits, Marty, because pressure's on them to get all the tires and the fuel taken care of, and a lot of pressure on the crew to not make a mistake.
Well, and we mentioned the top 7 have not pitted, and this is not unheard of here, because usually the yellows come in bunches later in this race. We've never gone caution free in this event, but usually we get that an early streak where we can stay green. But now the top 7 are going to be forced to be coming in here.
When you're following behind that Honda Civic pace car for Will Power, he's just like, come on, let's go. I want to get in the pits and get this done. He gets a little closer as he gets closer to pit in. Watch to see what's going to happen here. You've got a sweeper there on the right-hand side to clean the track, and there we go.
Pit lane's open. It's going to start with Dario Franchitti, and that means that we're going to send it to Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, Dario Franchitti brings the car, and they just remind him that he's got to get around Conway's guys, which are right in front of him. They bring it in. Remember, they haven't made many changes all weekend long. They've been very, very happy. Put the Sunoco fuel in, no changes to the car. Overall, very happy. They just got to get him out, make sure he can get back into his place. Next up is Sebastian Bourdais. It's a long stop. They are having a problem with the fuel rig. They're not able to get the gas into it, the fuel into it. They're going to go ahead and have to pick the car back up. They're having a problem. The fuel man is trying to maneuver it. They've angled the car just a little bit. I think the problem was maybe it was just a little too far, and as a result, the Buckeye wouldn't catch. Now they get the fuel in. They send him back out. Very frustrated.
You can also see Alex Tagliani there getting a new nose section, and there finally Franchitti going back out. This is going to be a costly stop. Tags gets the new nose. Don't know exactly what happened to him that caused him to make that change, but he gets back out under this first caution. So they're telling him on the radio. Now here is what happened to Dario.
See, they maybe Dario's too far away from the wall by looks of it, Marty, so they put the quick jack in on the back side of the car to move it closer, but then you know, you got to get the fuel in there. It still takes about 12 seconds, so a big long delay, which probably really was just from Dario being a little bit too far away from the ball when he drove in.
Right now, Dario Franchitti is looking at a lot of work to get done. That's your race leader, Simon Pagenaud. Stay with us. We're going side by side. You saw the restart on side by side, and boy, Tony Kanaan made a real dangerous move, somehow managed to get away with it, picked up a couple of spots. We'll reset it for you once we sort it out down into turn number 3, because I got a feeling it's going to be a log jam. Hang on.
And I think Tony ended up being from the inside to the outside as we see the local favorite, James Hinchcliffe, those on the left-hand side of your screen. But this is when drivers are really aggressive. Patience doesn't come into play right now, and it's an opportunity to pass when everybody's all bulked up together.
That's Will Power right in the middle of that mix right there, as he was one of the 7 front-running cars that had to stop under the caution. Rubens Barrichello making a move on Justin, and he makes it stick. And Justin may lose another spot. No, he'll be able to shut the door.
Well, Josef Newgarden is behind him in the Sarah Fisher Hartman entry, and his job will be to get a good run out of 11, try to pass him going down into turn 1.
Let's reset it for you. It is Simon Pagenaud, and you are allowed to take that defensive line as you saw that one car, but he has to stay there. There's your race leader, Simon Pagenaud. He's opened up about 1 second lead over Ryan Hunter-Reay, and it's Tony Kanaan now third after that daring move. And let's check in on what's happening to Hinchcliffe. Rick?
Well, the Hinch had radioed into the team saying he felt a weird hesitation in the motor. It didn't get better. They finally said, just bring it in. We're going to go ahead and take off the engine cover, see what we can figure out underneath. But he's been in here ever since the green flag. He came in at the green flag, has been sitting here ever since, and it doesn't look like they have an answer at this point.
And this was a new engine that they put in. That's why he got the 10-position penalty. This is version 8 of the Chevrolet. You're on board with J.R. Hildebrand as these guys are still playing a little bit rough out there.
And rough is an understatement. I love that charge for Tony Kanaan on the restart. You know, something like he had, like the penalty, just puts Tony Kanaan on a different level, being very aggressive. And he's the guy that probably, if you do that to him, would drive the hardest. And he did a great job there on the restart.
All right, let's reset for you. We talked about Pagenaud, Hunter-Reay, and Kanaan being your top 3. And it's Ryan Briscoe, Takuma Sato, Rubens Barrichello. That takes you through 6th place. Now you're saying, what happened to Dario Franchitti? He restarted in 20th, and he's actually back in 21st right now. Now let's go back and show you Tony Kanaan on this restart. Look for the number 11 going down the inside.
Remember, as soon as the green comes out, you can pass at any time. You don't have to wait to get past the line. As you ride along now, just watch to the right-hand side up there. He passes like about 3 or 4 cars, gets it sideways, collects it, and then back on the gas. Now, as another driver, when you're past going into turn 1 like that, Martin, you're thinking, I should have done that. I should have been the guy that been that aggressive, because it just makes you look bad.
And you can see he is right now all over, putting pressure on Ryan Hunter-Reay as we go on board with Briscoe, who is right behind Tony Kanaan, running in 4th.
Tony Kanaan is on the red alternate tire, so it makes it more grip, a little faster. They wear out a little quicker. Ryan Hunter-Reay is on the black primary tire, maybe not as quick.
There is Dario Franchitti, shown now back in 20th position. He's gotten around Ed Carpenter. Now let's go back, and whose fault is this for not getting close enough to the wall?
Now watch as he goes in. The right front wheel needs to hit that the red spot, exactly where his right front tire changer put his knee. The problem is that Dario came in, and he's about 18 inches or 2 feet away from where his marks need to be for the extension of the fuel hose. The fuel man cannot get the fuel buckeye in place to open up the fuel flow. So what they end up doing is taking the quick jack. You see the mechanic in the back lifting the car up, moving it over, and then he has to plug back in, restart the program all over again, and that really falls on Dario.
And this is a 3rd race in a row where he started on pole. The last 2 he's had issues. Of course, he had the suspension issue, which led to a crash, the engine issue, which led to another DNF, and now this one sets him back into maybe he shouldn't start on pole anymore.
There's a lot of satisfaction when you're up on the front like that, but he'll look back upon this and just be very disappointed.
You're on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's shown in 2nd position, and right now with Will Power back in 11th, as here comes Tony Kanaan on those reds. He's going to try it on the outside. Can't get it done.
Now he's going to be under attack a little bit from Ryan Briscoe in his Izod Hitachi machine, because Tony was slowed up just a little bit. Now for Briscoe, he's also got the red alternate tires on.
While this battle continues, Vince has caught up with Graham Rahal.
Yeah, frustrating weekend in general, but certainly a frustrating finish on a short day. What happened, Graham?
Yeah, I mean, it was just I'd been struggling with the right front locking a lot. Significantly more. I had wound it almost 2% rearward since the start of the race, and it was still locking, and I was pushing hard trying to catch Elio, so it's my fault. You know, I made the mistake, and yeah, I mean, this whole weekend just been off. Haven't really felt great. You know, we haven't really gotten the car figured out. I mean, Dario has been going good the whole time, but for me, I've been struggling, and you know, it's a bad way to cap it off, of course. We were hoping for a good result, and were we the quickest today? No, but were we the worst? Absolutely not. So, you know, it's frustrating, but I feel bad for the guys, and just move on from here.
Marty? It's his 5th run here at Toronto. His best finish was 5th back in 2010.
And Marty, when he's talking about winding the brake bias back, the driver has an adjustment inside the cockpit where you can change the degree of amount of front braking to rear braking bias, and that's what he was playing with to try and get the car to stop walking the right front wheel up.
Charlie Kimball right there putting pressure on Rubens Barrichello. That is for 7th on the racetrack right now, and everybody is chasing Simon Pagenaud. Pagenaud has led for the 2nd time in his season. He led the most laps at Long Beach, 26, on his way to a 2nd place run there. And his lead right now over Ryan Hunter-Reay is 3.5 seconds. That gives you an idea. There he is way out in front on Lakeshore Boulevard. We're back after a word from your ABC stations. As you look down from high above on Exhibition Place, we have knocked down 36 of 85 laps here at Toronto. The race leader right there at the bottom of your screen is Simon Pagenaud by 3 seconds over Ryan Hunter-Reay. Here are your Firestone lap leaders. Will Power led for 20. Pagenaud's now 11 and counting. Dario Franchitti led for 5. We have a total of 3 cars out of the race. Ray Hall, Di Silvestro, and Scott Dixon. Yes, Dixon is out. And James Hinchcliffe is in the pits, and he's 9 laps down, but not officially out of the race yet. If the race ended right now, look at how this would shake up the points. Ryan Hunter-Reay would take over the lead by 16 because Power right now is buried in 11th because he had to make his stop under caution.
And you think about James Hinchcliffe, as you mentioned, the local driver in the pit lane. Remember, just a few races ago, he was in 3rd, looking like he might have a shot at getting to the top at some point in time, but haven't had a good, lucky time here, I would say, in the last few races.
Ryan Hunter-Reay finished 3rd here at Toronto the last 2 years. He's running 2nd right now, and he is thinking championship. And I've got to agree with him. I mean, if they could get a good run here, it definitely changes the whole complexion because his 2 wins were on the short ovals.
Well, without a doubt, you know, because he is a street course and a road course driver type from all his career in junior formulas. But you also have to think that I think back in my conversation with him back at St. Petersburg at the beginning of the year, he expected to fight for the championship as we watched the number 2 machine of Ryan Briscoe start to have a look going on the inside of Justin Wilson, but could not get that done. And for Ryan Hunter-Reay, his whole focus right now is to win that championship.
We'll let you know while you were watching that action, EJ Vizo made his 2nd pit stop of this race. And James Hinchcliffe is now officially out of the race. What a disappointment, Rick.
Yeah, disappointment for James and also for everybody here in Toronto who's been cheering you on. Any idea at this point what actually put you out of the race?
No, it's the motor started running a bit sour, and you know, we started a bit on the back leg. I had no pit lane speed limiter, so I had to do that first stop just by watching the speed on my own. And it's a shame, you know, we had the right tire strategy, I think. We made some good passes on the start there and got a couple more guys, and finally luck fell our way with that yellow, and the way the pits got closed, had ourselves up in 4th and in contention. I think we had a good car, but just, man, it's not a weekend in a lot of ways. You know, disappointed for the whole GoDaddy crew because they've done such a great job all year, and definitely disappointed for everybody here in Toronto. The fan support this weekend's been just awesome, and I'm sorry we couldn't get them a better finish.
Yeah, it's kind of turned into a lost weekend for James Hinchcliffe, unfortunately, but well, this one's over. You got to move on to the next one.
He said that with all the personal appearances, the only time he felt like he was on his own to be calm was when he was in the race car. And unfortunately, he's out of the car for the rest of this race. You're looking at Kumasato, and they start with 100 seconds of that push to pass. You can see 92 and 82, respectively, for he and the man that's chasing him, Charlie Kimball, running in 7th.
And Kimball's doing a great job because this is a very difficult circuit. Remember, he's the driver that's driving with diabetes, and this circuit really just takes a lot out of you physically. And he's adapted to Indy cars quite well, continues to improve. And he's part of that 4-car team of Target Chip Ganassi. We've already seen Graham Rahal, his teammate, is out of the race, along with Scott Dixon.
One thing I want to think about while you get ready to go side by side, our race leader pitted on lap number 14. That means he has gone 26 laps. Simon Pagenaud may have to stop in the not too distant future. We'll find out when we come back to Toronto. Back here at Toronto, looking high above, there is your race leader on the top left. And that is Simon Pagenaud. Let's go Firestone up to speed. Started off with Vince.
Well, when the crew asks you, how's your car, and it's a one-word response, well, it can't be too complicated. Pagenaud's one-word response, awesome. They'll look to pit on about lap 49. In second place is Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay's car has been good, too. And remember, he's coming off back-to-back wins. Road course finishes, second at Brazil, third at St. Pete. He's within striking distance of the championship, and he says they're ready to win on the road course. Jamie?
And look at Tony Kanaan running third. Been struggling all weekend long with suspension on this car. Couldn't get over the bumps. He's like a new man today. Despite hitting a tire of Oriol Servia on pit road and having a drive-through penalty, he has fought his way back, and he is hanging tough. Rick?
Well, Justin Wilson, once again, we talked about his trials and tribulations on Friday, and then the rain-out session on early Saturday morning. From qualifying on, he has been on fire. They really didn't turn many laps, but the car has been exactly where they needed to be. In fact, during that last pit stop, they made no adjustments. Vince?
The two of Ryan Briscoe didn't qualify as well as they hoped. He said, I think we've got a lot better race car, but we missed it a bit in qualifying, proving it here in the race. Briscoe, as you see, has run as high as second. He's having a good run, likes his race car right now, Marty.
So it looks like Simon Pagenaud, based on the information you gave me, Vince, he'll be able to go 35 laps. And remember, we had 4 laps of caution. So that's right about in that window we were talking about. Here we go. It's going to get interesting. You're going side by side. saw on side-by-side a slick little move by rookie Josef Newgarden as he got around Oriol Serbia, moved him into 9th position. You got to remember, we didn't tell everybody, Newgarden didn't practice at all Friday. They had all kinds of issues.
Oh, and then Friday morning went out and the car didn't make even a couple of turns, and they went back out in the afternoon and still had the same problem. What happened is when they put the new motor in the back of the car, it didn't line up with the pickup clevis for the fuel pump, so he was not getting any fuel. And what in the end result, they had to change all around on Friday night, and he didn't really get out to Saturday. He's a day behind, and for a driver that's a rookie learning this track also in IndyCar, tough job. He's done a great job, though.
And a lot of Saturday's final practice was in the rain, which also didn't help, but doing a nice job right now. We are getting close to the window where our leader, Simon Pagenaud, is going to have to make his stop. It has been, let's see, he pitted on lap 14. We have completed lap 47. So he has gone 33 laps right now. He has got a 1.5 second lead over Ryan Hunter-Reay. Then it's Tony Kanaan, Justin Wilson, Mr. Briscoe, Kimball, and speaking of Charlie Kimball, looking really good, running in 6th place.
Amazing job he's doing, because remember, we see Barrichello on the left-hand side, Jamie.
First time racing here. He's been to Canada 17 times in Formula One, but so far so good today. They put on some sticker red tires, a front wing adjustment, as well as we see side-by-side action. Charlie Kimball is on it, Marty.
Boy, he is all over the two of Ryan Briscoe. And Briscoe sort of drifted a little wide there on the corner.
Well, he wants to slow him down a little bit so he didn't go and do what they call the over-under and have Charlie surprise him on the inside. But now Charlie just needs to regroup and have an opportunity to set him back up again. Remember, you got to work 3 or 4 turns ahead to set him up, and what he'll be working on now is maybe having a run down into turn 1, or again like he was into turn 3. We talked about Simon Pagenaud pitting. Marty, here he is.
He's heading your way, Vince.
He hit the marks perfectly. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment, scuffed red tires, a good quick stop. Up now they've got a problem. They had a slight problem there in the rear, and the stop ends up being slower.
Oh, I'm just wondering if maybe the car came down on the air hose or something like that. So if that's the case, that could be a penalty, but we'll have to find out what was going on there.
Franchitti had worked his way back to 17th before he too comes in for a pit stop. What it means right now is Ryan Hunter-Reay has taken over the race lead. He is followed by Tony Kanaan in 2nd, and both those cars last pitted on lap 22. So if you figure about 35, 34 laps, gives you an idea how far they can go.
Takuma Sato just getting on the gas there really hard. He looks in his mirrors and he sees the 12 machine, the Verizon car of Will Power. A little bit different lines here. I think right now Sato, the car ahead, is really fighting with the handling of his car, and I think that Power is going to take advantage of that.
And Power's got to run on him, and he's got to try and duck underneath him here going into 1. Hard on the brakes. It's really rough. He makes it.
Now Sato is probably going to get eaten up going down the straightaway here. Remember, push to pass. Will he use it and try and keep them at bay? Or maybe run the defensive line on the inside? He takes the defensive line.
Yeah, Bourdais on the left side of your screen. They go deep into the corner, and he is going to make it. He'll take the position. Now on the outside. Hold on. That is awfully tight. That's Elio Castroneves in the yellow 3.
Elio's been very quiet all day. A driver that this track's not been very good to him. One of the tracks he's not won at.
That was Conway and J.R. Hildebrand. They're right behind Elio. E.J. Viso is in for a 3rd stop already, so not the kind of day, and they're not moving as fast. And Tony Kanaan has peeled off. Jamie.
And they told him, hit your marks. You overshot it last time. Car's been good, hasn't said a lot. They put on some scuffed reds this time for Tony Kanaan. Down and away.
Boy, 34 laps to go. We're going to have to, if we stay green, it's going to be awfully hard to go the distance.
Probably setting up for a splash and go, as we call it at the end. But let's talk about the marks in the pit lane for a second. People missing their marks. We saw that Dario had that problem, and also some passing possibly taken care of here, and also Tony Kanaan. The pit lane here has a curve in it, Marty. It's very difficult for those who are pitted in the inside of that curve to get right on their spot.
Wow, look at Conway and Sato going after each other. Conway gets him. Here comes J.R. Hildebrand as well.
Nice move by Hildebrand, nice and clean, took advantage of it, got on the inside of turn 5.
Conway has been impressive today, to say the least, as he has worked his way back again. He's into the top 10.
Now Sato's probably just trying to make some fuel numbers and trying to stay out on track, but he's really off pace. So that means the tires have probably gone off on him. He does have a set of the red alternate tires, which give you more grip, but they certainly go away quickly on you.
Well, Sato pitted on lap number 21, and he is coming in now, so he is peeled off. So is Oriol Servia. They are 12th and 13th. Meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay continues to lead. Ryan's lead is 1.2 seconds over Justin Wilson. There is Conway as we go back further into the field again. Conway up to 8th. That was Conway's radio you heard. He has not had a lot of success here. He's run here at Toronto only twice. Both times he finished 22nd.
Interesting, because we're showing he's just 26 laps since the last stop.
And he is coming in. And it looks like EJ Vizo's day may be coming to an end. He is still in pit lane. Here comes Will Power as he peels off. Vince.
Will Power, two-time winner here at Toronto. They're putting on the sticker reds for Will Power. No chassis adjustments at all. Can he win for the 4th time this season? That's his last stop. Sunoco Fuel as well.
Conway out as well. So they'll rejoin the fight. And right now, Will Power is in serious jeopardy of surrendering the points lead based on what we're seeing right now.
And love to watch these pit stops, Marty, with the drivers coming in, stopping, and the tires being changed. You see all that brake dust from the new carbon brakes on these cars.
Justin Wilson peels off. And Rick, he was in 2nd place. He's coming your way.
Justin Wilson brings the car in. He's been coming in very slowly and easily. Remember, after the problems he had this weekend, they're going to go ahead and put the reds on. Having a problem attaching the fuel hose as well. Same problem, well, hard to say, but he's finally gotten it in. Doesn't look like the car was too far away, but it's definitely delayed him. Meanwhile, we've got Bourdais coming in just ahead of him. Talked with Jay Penske just a little while ago. The plan was for no changes to the car other than putting on the reds. They say so far this has been the race that his team has been needing so desperately to finally get some good showings.
Elio Castroneves also in. You see him coming out as well. A costly stop, though.
And Marty, when it's only 5 seconds longer than normal as a driver, when you're sitting in the cockpit, it seems like forever.
Back out right in front. Elio comes out in front of Franchitti. You're on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay, still your race leader. But here he comes as he finally pulls in for his 2nd stop. He went 33 laps, Vince, and we have 31 to go.
It's been an uneventful weekend other than a little contact in the morning warm-up, but otherwise Ryan Hunter-Reay's had a lot of good car to work with throughout the course of the weekend. Likes his car here. Can he take it to the finish? He relinquished the lead to pit.
Good stop. He's back out. We have another lead change. That's Josef Newgarden as he is making his pit stop as well. He had worked his way up into the top 5. So he comes back out. And where will he rejoin? Look out!
Always difficult in that section.
There is J.R. Hildebrand. Now he is shown as your race leader right now.
In 29 laps, Marty, since he's last pitted. So how much will he get out of it further? Maybe another 4 to 6. This is an opportunity with really no traffic in front for him just to try and reel off some very fast laps aboard his National Guard machine.
Meanwhile, you can see there's Rubens Barrichello duking it out with the 12 of Will Power. And they are running 9th and 10th. Oh! Contact. And it is Will Power. He's got a right or left front flat. And again, the championship is taking another dramatic turn.
Well, the good thing about this is that it happened only a few turns from pit in. Otherwise, he'd been limping around the complete track.
There's the captain, Roger Penske. Boy, has it been an eventful weekend for him. The sad news about A.J. Allmendinger's situation yesterday, and now Will Power sliding to a stop.
So what he's saying, just the tires, don't change the wing. It would take too much time. He would go down a lap, so they're smartly just going to change the 4 tires, send him back out, get back up to speed, wait to see how the car reacts with that broken front wing.
29 laps to go. Will Power coming back out. Here comes J.R. Hildebrand, the race leader. He peels off. Jamie?
Counting J.R. Hildebrand down. They're going to put some sticker reds on there, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Coming off a fun off weekend, he went to the X Games for the first time, cleared his head, and he's ready to get a good finish. It's been a few races since he's had one of those.
Nice clean stop there, and a great job by J.R. Hildebrand.
And this will give you an idea just how good a car the 28 has been, along with the 11. They are now shown back in first and second place. And remember, they just pitted back on lap 55 just a couple of laps ago.
And that's the number that we thought. If you got to lap 55, you should be able to make it to the end. Remember, no one's always very truthful when what kind of fuel mileage you're getting, especially when you're asking about Chevrolet and Honda. And you saw the debris flag being waved there by the corner marshal, letting people know that are going through that there is some on the track, some parts or sometimes some liquid. In this case here, it's obviously parts from Will Power's car.
Are you surprised that they haven't thrown a full car caution with that there?
I'm not, because you know something, all the drivers know the parts are there, and they can drive around it. Sometimes I think that that's the right thing to do, and I like what they've done here.
All right, let's go back on board with Will Power when he had his issue with the left front tire. With Ryan Hunter-Reay up front, here's what happened to Will. The wing breaks, the tire goes down as it gets cut, and then Will ends up in trouble. We'll be back after a word from your ABC stations. Back here at Toronto as we are now completed 60 of 85 laps at the IZOD IndyCar Series event in Ontario. Ryan Hunter-Reay, you're on board with him right now. He has a 1.1 second lead over Tony Kanaan, another 5 seconds further back. Simon Pagenaud running in third. We have a total of... And Will Power is back in. And Vince, what's going on?
Well, they did change that front nose assembly, and they had hoped that maybe it wouldn't ill-affect the car too badly, but the key was to stay on the lead lap. Ultimately, they were hoping to get a yellow, didn't get it, so they had to come in and make that change.
And he's now 1 lap down in 20th, and we figured out what actually happened to him, Scott.
Well, in that scenario, it looks like he got an altercation with Josef Newgarden going through the back section turns 4 and 5 and broke the wing. And then what ended up happening was the wing broke free, got underneath that left front tire, and then flattened the left front tire of Will Power's machine. So the other side of that, Marty, is that he had put on a nice set of red sticker tires the previous stop, which are the soft compound tires, which give you more grip and more speed. And now he had to go and change over to the primaries, which are a little slower.
There you see Justin Wilson, and in fact that's a 3-car train right there with Pagenaud, Kimball, and Wilson, and that is all for position. 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the racetrack. That's right, Charlie Kimball could have a career best day. And boy, Pagenaud taking the defensive line.
I'll tell you what, I'm questioning that one. Because he was about ready to go left, and then he turned around and altered his line because he didn't realize that Kimball had such a good run on him. So I wouldn't be too happy with that if I was Charlie Kimball.
We'll wait and see if there's any call from IndyCar officials. Best seat in the house was Justin Wilson.
But for Charlie, he knows he has the speed, Marty. He just needs to regroup, take another shot at it, and set himself up coming through turns 10 and 11, down through 1 and 2, and have a shot going down that long stretch down to turn 3.
I don't think he's close enough here, but look at that 4th car coming into view. That's Ryan Briscoe, so he's sneaking into the picture as well. And behind Briscoe, that 5th car you see is Josef Newgarden. What a run this would be for Newgarden if he could finish in the top 10 after the weekend that car has had. Here comes Kimball again. Let's see if he can get it done this time. Oh, and again, Pagenaud going to stay way to the inside.
Well, that's okay, but he made his move back there coming through that bend, and he stayed there. You talk about Josef Newgarden, a good finish for Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, and that's pretty impressive for a guy that started go-kart racing out in Newcastle, Indiana and came through the ranks very quickly in a short 4 or 5 years.
Let's get an update on Charlie Kimball. How about it, Jamie?
Well, I've been talking to him the last couple days, Marty, and he's been like a new man, just a new attitude. And I asked him what it's all about, and he said, I'm just gaining confidence. I'm confident in the race car bucking under me here on this rough track, and that's had a lot to do with it. He's been studying DVDs, and the team as a whole has learned more about the race car, what makes it better. He said, we are going to have a good run today. His best finish this year, 8th. Right now, he's battling for 3rd, Marty.
And we have a total of 21 laps to go, and here we go down Lakeshore Boulevard again. Let's see what happens this time. He takes a peek to the inside. Can't get it done. He wasn't close enough.
What he needs to do now is sort of sit back for a lap or two and let Simon Pagenaud think that he doesn't have anything for him, and then have a great strong run and just do that what we call the surprise move, bounce on the inside.
We're not ignoring the race leader. Ryan Hunter-Reay has got a 4-second lead over second place Tony Kanaan. This is the best action on the race course. Pagenaud, these guys are 8 seconds behind the race lead, but look at it, 5 cars all within, about a couple of 100 feet of each other. We're going to go side by side as the laps wind down. 20 to go here at Toronto. From high above Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, we look down as this race is now 19 laps away from completion. Ryan Hunter-Reay is your race leader. Let's go back to your mother's race rundown, get you caught up. Scott Dixon, first car out of the race with a blown engine. He's 25th and took a huge hit in the points. James Hinchcliffe, the hometown hero, had some early contact, but that's not what put him out of the race. He too had engine issues. He's one of 4 cars out of this event. Tony Kanaan, you see him bump that tire there coming out of pit lane. He would get a drive-through penalty, but it wouldn't bother him too much. Here's something that bothered Charlie Kimball for a few laps. He gets bumped by his teammate, but then Graham Rahal, who bumped Kimball, ends up overshooting the corner. He put himself out of this event as well. Dario Franchitti, pit road issues when he missed his mark. They couldn't get the fuel hose connected. It has set him back a lot. Now, we didn't get to show you this earlier. You see the contact right there between Newgarden and Will Power. Power breaks the wing, and then later it comes off and cuts the left front tire. Power now 1 lap down in 20th. And now Justin Wilson has pulled into the pit, and he is out of this race. What happened, Rick?
Well, it's something having to do with the engine. You know, this weekend went from frustration to elation, and now it's ending in frustration. Wilson came on the radio and said the power just suddenly cut out, and then it came back on. He thought he had it for a moment, and then apparently went back out again. As a result, they brought it in. They looked at it for a moment, and then Justin Wilson's climbed out. His day is done.
Now watch right there. He taps the wall coming out of turn 11. And that's when everything started to slow down rapidly.
A lot of times what happens with that, Marty, is you can end up breaking a drive shaft or a CV joint, which can really just cripple the car, but sounds like it might be something on top of that.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, 17 laps, and you can see the margin he is building as we continue to knock these laps down. He's one of our 5 different leaders. We've had 5 lead changes. He is making a statement today after winning the 2 short oval races. Now coming on to the street course here at Toronto, and look at how long that gap really is from the air. Second place is Tony Kanaan, 5.5 back. Then it's Pagenaud with Charlie Kimball and Ryan Briscoe and Charles Newgarden, or Josef Newgarden, right behind.
And I think the gap is growing between Hunter Ray and Kanaan, because I think Kanaan's getting in fuel save mode right now simply from the fact that since he last pitted, he's got 18 laps in the car. Ryan Hunter-Reay is 14. I think Ryan can probably make it. I suspect right now that both Kanaan and Pagenaud, I don't think can. Kimball's going to be very close. Briscoe, I don't think will. And 6th place, Josef Newgarden, I think that he might make it to the end. It just depends on the fuel mileage that these guys are getting with the different brands of motors right now. And like we mentioned, they don't tell you exact numbers. We're sort of figuring numbers out here, but it's going to be very interesting in the last 5 laps to see who can make it and who has to pit.
Well, let's find out. Let's talk a little fuel strategy as Firestone takes us up to speed. Let's check in with Vince on our race leader.
Well, the good news for Ryan Hunter-Reay, seeking his first road street course win this season, is that he is good on fuel. Michael Andretti smiled and said, "We're good to the end." Jamie?
Word on Tony Kanaan, save, save, save. Right now, the team telling me 1 lap short. He's doing all he can, lifting where he can, but insult to injury, he's on scuffed red tires. They're falling off faster. They're desperately wanting to make it to the end, Vince.
And Simon Pagenaud in a similar situation, Jamie. Pagenaud needs 3.8 miles per gallon to get to the finish. Rob Edwards, his strategist, says it's going to be real tight. Marty?
So if all the numbers are correct right now, Ryan Hunter-Reay's camp is smiling from ear to ear, and he is out in front now by 6.4 seconds. 15 to go here at Toronto. Oh, wow, did you see that on side by side? Charlie Kimball makes a great move, gets around not just 1, but 2.
That's amazing. And then also you saw Josef Newgarden passing one of the veterans in the field, Ryan Briscoe. I mean, we talked about turn 3 being the action-packed zone, and if you time it all right, you can make it happen, and both those drivers did. Exceptional moves.
Whew, that was fun to watch.
And we think right now that all these guys are in fuel saving mode, so sometimes you get off the gas going down the straightaway just to save fuel. And as we watch this replay right now, going down Lakeshore Boulevard, remember 170 miles an hour going down to turn 3, and a crisscross move as we like to see sometimes of all the things that are going on. And for Charlie Kimball, he sneaks on the inside and takes advantage of that. And at the same time, we see Josef Newgarden. having the opportunity to get past Ryan Briscoe. And this is like, pardon me, excuse me, coming through, and a big thank you, Charlie Kimball says to both those guys.
Charlie Kimball is at a career high position right now, second on the race course. And whoa, the action continues down there in turn number 3. As we're watching this from high above, let's get you caught up on the motorsports schedule. Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN2. Next up for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at New Hampshire, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern. That'll be on ESPN. Then the IZOD IndyCar Series will be at Edmonton on July 22nd. That'll be at 2:45 Eastern with our friends over at the NBC Sports Network. You can join the conversation on Twitter at Honda Indy. All right, we have 11 laps to go. Ryan Hunter-Reay has a 7.6-second lead over Charlie Kimball. And Kimball, he has pulled out a margin of almost 3 seconds from Simon Pagenaud, who is in third. Josef Newgarden is now in fourth. Ryan Briscoe rounds out your top 5. And right now, Newgarden's looking pretty good because I think he can go on fuel because he's got the same number of laps as Ryan Hunter-Reay knocked down. 19 since their last stop. Look at this action down into turn number 3 again. Looking from high above. Can't exactly tell whose car that is from that angle.
We were talking about fuel, and we surmised that Hunter-Reay would not have to stop, and Vince Welsh gave us the good news that Ryan Hunter-Reay is good to the end. Charlie Kimball, a little bit suspect right now because he's a couple lap difference. But we feel Kimball may be able to make it. Pagenaud in third, we think definitely is going to have to stop, which gives Newgarden, who's quite a few laps to the good on the fuel, probably an opportunity to run full fuel and full power. Maybe he has an opportunity to get past Pagenaud.
You saw Ryan Hunter-Reay looking for his 3rd win in a row. And let's go back and show you the other 2. We were back at Milwaukee on June 16th, took the checkered flag there, and then went to another short oval as we made the swing over to Iowa Speedway under the lights. And again, it was Ryan Hunter-Reay taking advantage of the situation and taking the checkered flag for 2 in a row. And only one other driver's won 3 in a row this year, and that has been Will Power. In fact, those are the only 2 guys that have multiple race wins this year. And look at what the points would do right now if this continues. What a swing. Power led by 3. He would trail by 37.
And this is a mistake by Power back in that back section. Remember, we were saying this track's very confrontational, but from him hitting the back end of Josef Newgarden's car, breaking his wing, and then having it break and running over, flattening his tire, the points championship just slipped away from him by that one mistake.
His lead is now 7.6 seconds over Charlie Kimball. Then Pagenaud, Newgarden, Briscoe. That is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And there you see Mike Conway getting underneath Elio Castroneves. That is for 10th. The best battle on the track with Kanaan running 8th, Serbia 9th, Conway 10th, Castroneves 11th. Going down Lakeshore.
Remember, and Kanaan is in fuel save mode right now because he doesn't want to have to pit. He'll lose a lot of positions, but he does not have the horsepower when he dials back the fuel, and he's going to have to let these guys just sort of go on by and maybe hope that they have to pit.
So there is Kanaan now with Elio Castroneves all over, and the other 2 pulling away. As we move farther forward with Simon Pagenaud and Josef Newgarden. I cannot tell you how impressive this is for Newgarden. Did not get one single full lap of practice on Friday. Saturday morning, it was raining here. And here he is running 4th. And this is exactly what this team needed.
And they really do. But for right now, for Josef Newgarden, he has to be patient. And he knows that he has an opportunity to stand on the podium, but he needs to make sure he does not make a mistake. And as the laps wind down here, he'll start to get impatient, push a little harder, and hopefully he does not do that.
Well, if his team has told him, as you look at Charlie Kimball all alone in 2nd place, looking at a career best win.
And that is Mitch Davis, his strategist, telling Charlie Kimball we're good to go. I just asked him, he said we're good to the end. The question is, can we catch Ryan Hunter-Reay and do something with him, having the race of his life today, Marty?
Well, I don't know if he can do that. With 7 laps to go, it's a 7-second lead. He would have to have a rocket ship underneath him. But this is a great day for Charlie Kimball. And I know he's got a bunch of fans that he has inspired with his ability to race with diabetes, and they are cheering him on. There is the gap back to Simon Pagenaud.
Oh, that is a block, folks.
That is a huge block, and it's going to
you know
cost
something that
Newgarden.
ruins this race for him. I can't believe that.
And it is going to cost Newgarden dearly. There is Sarah Fisher. He stalled it. It's going to go from bad to worse.
Unbelievable. Simon Pagenaud knew that he couldn't make it to the end. He was playing a bit of a defensive line and turned around. And yes, Josef Newgarden's a rookie, but you know what? He definitely got the bad end of that program.
Let's go back and show you again.
See, now he's going to look in his mirrors. He makes that move. He's already decided on his line. He goes to cut off Josef. Josef gets on the marbles and gets on all the stuff that he has no grip on whatsoever, locks the wheels up, and did a great job as a rookie driver not to take out Simon in that maneuver.
He has already fallen back.
Terrible move by Simon.
To 18th. He's the last car on the lead lap right now from Ryan Briscoe. We got a full course yellow out.
See all the dust coming up from the tires, running over all that stuff that's got no grip whatsoever.
Oh, no. Sarah saw a potential top 3 finish just go away as we have our second caution of the day here. And this is really rare for this event. I mean, the fewest cautions we've ever had was 5 back in 2009. This is only our second, with a total of 6 laps to go. They finally get him refired, but Josef Newgarden, his chances for a top 5 have gone away.
Well, that also helped Simon Pagenaud and a few of these other guys that were close on fuel. They end up having a situation now where once we get a green, they can go hard to the end.
Charlie Kimball is the beneficiary also. The only guy who really loses up front is that man right there. Ryan Hunter-Reay was cruising with a 7+ second lead, and now we're going to have a restart.
Now, when you come to this restart, remember, it's going to be side by side, getting that jump down towards turn 1. You got to make sure that you're not going to end up overdriving the car and stuff it into the wall.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has won the last 2 races, is about 5 laps away from giving Michael Andretti 3 in a row. Stay with us to find out what happens after a word from your ABC stations. CN Tower on the right side of your screen, to the very tip top of 1,815 feet. And right now, none of those guys are even worried about that because we got 4 laps to go. And let's listen in on the radio. That's Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's going to take driver's right. They did not sweep, so it's going to get a little crowded here trying to find the line. Green flag's out, and Kimball gets snookered for second place, but now he's got the inside line. Look out, it's going to get bumpy. Oh, and we got one car into the wall. Bourdais goes into the wall. And another spin farther back. That is Rubens Barrichello, and Tagliani also involved. There's Will Power, who came into this race with the points lead. He will not leave with it.
And for Bourdais, if he cannot get his car into reverse and move himself out of those tires, it will be a full course yellow. And it's probably going to be now anyways.
Then Franchitti gets into the 2 of Ryan Briscoe. And then more contact with Andretti. Carpenter in the 77 of Pagenaud, who was going to have to serve a drive-through penalty for the block that he laid on Newgarden. Wow, this thing has just gone crazy here since the restart.
And that's what Toronto does for you.
Full course caution. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to get this all cleaned up before we run out of laps.
And I don't think so, but you also have to feel for Ryan Briscoe, who was having a great day. Didn't look like he had the fastest car on the track, but was very smart in just trying to run his race all the way to the end.
The irony in all this, that during the break, Simon Pagenaud and several of those other cars we told you about that we thought would have to pit, they did. So if Josef Newgarden could have just been able to get on those brakes and stay behind, he would have inherited that spot, but it's all for naught. You can see that we've got a log jam right there.
Dario Franchitti, who we talked about before, that Not a great weekend for the Target team, but probably the only positive thing for Target that I saw this week here in Toronto is that the federal government has now approved that Target stores can open here in Canada, so that will start happening next year. So some positive news for Target.
All right, here is what happened in turn one. Watch that number 7, the McAfee, blue and white.
A great run, and I was thinking at this time that Ryan Hunter-Reay probably wouldn't want to see Sebastian Bourdais behind him, knowing how great of a street course driver he is, but that's not going to happen.
So that's what ruined Bourdais' day, and then there you can see what happened later, and here's an aerial view again.
Now watch Charlie Kimball goes down the inside. He's going to go for the same piece of real estate that Sebastian Bourdais does, and he ends up moving over and touching the wheels for Sebastian Bourdais.
And here comes turn 3. You see the end part there of what happened. And watch, back in the middle of that field.
Just takes one move, somebody moves over, and that was Briscoe who got moved over, turned around, ended up getting into the number 10 machine for Dario Franchitti.
And then these guys stack up on each other. You can see Pagenaud trying to get going, can't do it. On board with Briscoe. I'm not sure he knew Dario was out there.
No.
White flag is out. Final lap. This one is going to end under caution. So it looks like, as they're still trying to get some of these cars started, there is going to be your race winner. And for the second race in a row, Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to win this under caution.
You think about for Michael Andretti, who's won 7 races here in his career as a driver. Things just seem to go well. I asked him one time, what is it about Toronto? He goes, I don't know. It's just love coming here, and maybe it's the water.
Well, and some of these guys that had great races going, it looks like Newgarden's going to finish 13th. Power is going to finish 15th. Franchitti looks like he'll be around 17th. Boy, the points are taking a huge change today. And you're looking at the new points leader right there. Ryan Hunter-Reay with what will be his 3rd win in a row. He'll be leading by 34 over Will Power. Then 46 over Elio Castroneves in 3rd.
Marty, you say 34 points, and it sounds like a lot, but from what we're seeing this year in the series, for people falling out because of mechanical engine failures, it's going to be a run all the way to the end.
Just want to let you know, IndyCar has looked at everything, and they considered all those incidents that brought out this final caution our 3rd of the day as racing incidents. No penalties will be assessed. And there comes Ryan Hunter-Reay saluting the crowd as he comes down to get the checkered flag. What a run for him, for Charlie Kimball with a career best 2nd. How about Mike Conway comes back? He ends up starting 17th, ends up 3rd. Kanaan and Servia round out your top 5. Vince?
Michael Andretti won here 7 times as a driver, and now he adds another victory as a car owner. Well, you guys were bad fast today. How was it all the way around?
I'll tell you, he did a great job. You know, we were lucky with the strategy there when we pitted before that yellow came out, and he just drove perfect race. You know, the whole team did a perfect pit stops. You know, DHL, Sundrop guys. So it was just great to finally win one here as an owner. As you know, we haven't been able to do that, so it feels really good.
Were you planning to pit at that spot initially, or did it just kind of end up breaking your way?
We were watching what the other guys were doing. Really, we were letting them dictate it. And when we saw that Pagenaud and Kanaan were starting to catch us with their newer tires, that's when we decided to come in. And then we come in, and then the yellow comes out. So we can thank them for that.
Big day for the team as well, moving into the lead for the points championship. What's that mean?
It means a lot. It means a lot. I think we have a really good shot at it. All the rest of the tracks we feel real confident at, so we'll see. 3 in a row. Well done. Thank you.
Marty?
It certainly was, and we'll get a chance to hear from the winner when we come back. We're going to step aside, and we'll be here at Toronto after a word from your ABC stations. Well, we've had an eventful day here at Toronto. Hope you've been with us the entire stretch, because it started early with Scott Dixon going out very early in this race. And boy, that was just the beginning of all the action. And it ends up with that man right there. Well, he's going to need a little assistance to get to victory lane. Well, while we're waiting for him, that man being Ryan Hunter-Reay, to make it to victory lane. Let's talk to the man who's had a career best day.
Charlie Kimball, welcome to the podium. Congratulations. Boy, what an eventful day. First, a little coming together with your teammate, but you were saying that last restart was an adventure. Why?
Yeah, it was pretty scary out there. We'd had such a green flag stint, and with everyone on street circuit tires, both the blacks and the reds, there were so many marbles offline. And the one to go, I went driver's left because I figured Hunter-Reay'd pick driver's right to see what the marbles were like. And I was radioing in, they got to sweep, they got to sweep, they got to sweep. And, you know, race control was stuck because there were 3 laps to go, right? And you got to go green. I mean, you got to give the fans the shot to finish under green because we put on a great show all day. And the Canadian fans here at Toronto are always so good. So
let's talk about how does it feel, man, to finally break onto this podium territory and have such a great finish?
It feels like it should start to become pretty familiar. That's the plan. So, now that I'm here, it's a big deal. I got to give a lot of credit to the Novo Nordisk Ganassi Racing because the car was good all day. All I had to do was turn the wheel and push the pedals.
Charlie Kimball likes the second spot. He wants more.
Well, for Charlie Kimball, his prior best was 8th career. Another guy who had a career best day, James Jakes. He finished 8th today. And there's our race winner.
Getting quite used to this. Owner Michael Andretti, a 7-time winner here himself. The first as a team owner here. His wife, Becky Gordon. Ryan, were you as confident in that race call to pit early and keep it on blacks as you were at the end?
Man, I didn't know what to expect at the beginning of the race. I mean, the car was loose, but it really came to us, and Michael was just great in the radio today. You know, he's saying, save those tires for a restart. And we're way out in the lead, and I'm thinking, I know there's going to be a restart. We saved the tires, and we gapped them at the end. That was awesome. 3 in a row. I don't even know what to think about this.
You won on 2 ovals in a row. What does it mean for you to come out here and win on a street course and prove that you're an all-around awesome driver?
Well, it really shows that this team can get it done on all venues, and we're looking to make a championship run here, no doubt about it. We're concentrated on every lap, every section, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves at all. It's a great group to work with, and to win for DHL, Sundrop, and Chevrolet here in Canada and Toronto. You know, my mom's from Hamilton, just up the road, so this is a special one for sure. 3 in a row. I got to take this in.
3 in a row mid-season, Ryan. I have to ask, what is it about you and your team that's just seemed to click?
You know, it's about finding a home. It's about being somewhere for 3 years, and this is where I've been for 3 years now, and finally everything's clicking. And you know, you look at the Ganassi team like Dixon and Franchitti, they've been there a long time, and that's how you make people work together. It's a team sport, and it's all about chemistry, and that's what we have here. So we're just having a lot of fun, and we're winning races, and it's more fun when you win races too. Figure that out.
How does point leader sound?
Awesome. We got a long way to go.
American Ryan Hunter-Reay brings it home, 3rd in a row. Marco Andretti, his teammate, congratulating him. Big day for this team. Marty?
2/3 of this season is over. 5 races remaining, and here's the gap. Ryan Hunter-Reay now leads Will Power by 34, 46 over Castroneves, who moves into 3rd. Dixon 54, and notice Dario Franchitti. We talked about it a couple races ago. He's still in 8th, but now 105 points back, and his championship hopes, well, we thought they were done 2 races ago, and they look like they're definitely done now. Take a look at our Firestone lap leaders, as we had a total of 5 different leaders, and Ryan Hunter-Reay led the most with 36, and Will Power ended up with 20, and he is with Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, very frustrated Will Power, I might add. Let's talk about the situation that caused 2 pit stops for him.
Yeah, the broken wing. Yes, the broken wing. I mean, man, I just touched the back of his pod, and man, these things are so weak. Just ruined my day. I mean, them closing the pit under yellow ruined our day. Bloody half the field had pitted, and then we stayed out doing a good job on fuel, and you get punished for it. You know, I'm surprised the series through the yellow there.
So You've now lost the lead in the championship. How do you gather yourself back up, go on to the next race, and try and pull it back out?
Yeah, I mean, we had the quickest current down today. Not much more you can say. We got caught out by yellow, and then we just got caught. You're back in the crap and racing around. Trying to find your way back, and that's on me. I should know. Can't touch the front wing on anything.
All right, willpower once again. Just have to gather it up, go on to the next race, and try and get that lead back. Vince?
Tony Kanaan started 18th, had a drive-through penalty. How did you come all the way back up and finish 4th?
I had to work a lot, Vince. I have to say, on that pit stop there, I had no room. I don't know if it was just me that spun the tire too much, or the Dry Rainbow guys didn't give me enough room. I can't say. So I kind of disagree with the call, but we had to do it. And then after that, it was just same story, man. We go to the back to the front. So I'm a little bit upset that we can't get a win yet, but I'm trying as hard as I can.
From a team perspective, how close are you?
I think we're close, but we got to do a better job in qualifying for sure, and a couple other things that's happening during the races in our pit stop that not in the guys, strategy-wise, between me and my engineers, we got to sort it out. But we're close. We'll be knocking on the door. We'll be in the top 4 for the past 3 races. So 2 podiums in a 4th place. So we're close.
Tony Kanaan, 4th today. Good run, Marty.
Yeah, it was a good run, and he has passed a lot of cars a couple of times this year. Let's take a look at the motorsports menu coming up first. We got Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. That is tonight at 8 Eastern over on ESPN2. Next on for the Nationwide Series, New Hampshire, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. The IZOD INDYCAR Series will be at Edmonton on July 22nd. See that on the NBC Sports Network at 2:45 Eastern Time. And you can always follow the conversation on Twitter at Honda Indy. One of the things that jumped out as we continue to watch the celebration, take a look at the top 10. We'll give you some interesting little tidbits, of which this is the first time I can ever remember this happening. 10 different teams represented in the top 10. And that podium finish for Mike Conway, that's the first for AJ Foyt Racing since Vitor Meira finished 3rd at Brazil back in 2010. Let's talk to him, Jamie.
So obviously this is his best finish of the year. You fell back as far as 18th. How did you fight your way back to finish 3rd here today?
I don't know. At some points I was just kind of diving up the inside, and the car was so good on the braking that I could do it and get it stopped. So big credit to all the guys that have got my car as good as it was there. Don and Raul and everybody in the team that did so good on the pit stops. And this one's for AJ. He's we wanted to get him a result all year, and I'm glad we got this one. So big thank you to everybody. See you.
Have you had a chance to talk to AJ?
I haven't seen him. He's the only one I haven't seen. So I'll try and catch him before he leaves anyway.
Just for the record, he said he's not coming to victory lane until you guys win. So you got to keep plugging.
All right. Okay. No problem.
Let's go to Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, and let's go to Dario Franchitti, who says this race kind of sums up his entire season. Why is that?
Just action-packed, and we had a really good run at Indy. That was action-packed too, getting spun in the boots. But it just seems one thing after another. We came in for that first stop, and I've since found out the guys moved the signboard out a little bit to help me get round Conway's guys, and that was too far for the fuel hose. So just a miscommunication in the pits, and that was that. That put us back there. I think that the target car was very good. Then we had an impossible. We tried to make something happen with strategy, and we had an impossible fuel number. Just couldn't make it, and got the yellow we needed. Tried to make something happen there at the end, and there's a gap on the outside. I went for it, and it looks like whoever was on the inside of Ryan started squeezing Ryan over, and Ryan had nowhere to go, and I was the filling in the sandwich between Ryan and the wall. Just sums it up really. Tough day.
On Friday, you were pointing out there's 300 points left. You're not totally out of the championship. Now there's 250. Does that change your mentality going into the rest of this year?
Rick, we're making it difficult. We're making it really difficult this year. There's just I don't know what to say. Just stuff like the miscue in the pits. When have we ever had things like that with the target guys? It's just it's just one of those things, and we'll just keep fighting.
Once again, an up and down year. He's waiting for the next up.
Yeah, and I think he knows what the reality is. As you look at Ryan Hunter-Reay still celebrating, and we talked about at the beginning of our broadcast how sometimes you have to draw up a plan for one of these races, and we had a little architect doing a little drawing for us, and boy, I'll tell you what, this team drew up a real nice plan. They got their pit strategy just perfect, a little bit of luck there, and they won the race. You know, we talked about the top 10 being 10 different teams. How about this? 13 of the top 14 are different teams, and one of those guys is with Vince.
Oriol Servia started 14th today, finishes 5th. So if you add all the positions made up during the course of the season, 98 spots during the season. You better be careful. People are going to start thinking you can actually drive these things.
I know. First of all, Vince, I'm so happy to be on TV. It's just awesome. And I'm just happy for the car, the team. I have to say, though, today we just didn't have the base. It's one of those days we gamble a little bit on the setup. Usually we show up on Sunday with our A game, and today I struggled the whole day, but we kept our nose clean. Dennis did a great job with the strategy, and some of the drivers were really driving like idiots today. I had to use really my patience because I was getting upset with some of the guys, but they end up taking themselves out of the equation, and, you know, we finished 5th. It's not too bad.
Yeah, indeed. Not your best stuff, but to still finish 5th, I think says a lot about you and your team. Well done. Oriol Servia 5th today, Rick.
Now, Sebastian Bourdais, I think, would agree with what Oriol just said about the other drivers out there. Let's talk about your race. You had so much potential there. Was it just doomed with the end with too much action and too many marbles on the track?
No, it's just too many idiots, that's for sure. Just very proud of these TrueCar McAfee boys. You know, they did a hell of a job, and we're P3, you know, having passed Justin, and we had a good race car, and we're hanging there, and then when the yellow fell, it was like, oh boy, that's it. You know, we cycled to the back, and then we keep fighting, we get like P7, and then, oh, look at that, some guys can't make it on fuel. We end up P3, restart, get a good restart, try and pass Ryan, and I pass Kimball, and he just puts me in the wall. It's like, you know, he shouldn't be standing on that podium, doesn't deserve it.
Jay Penske was saying before this race started that this was the lift the team needed to be able to start well, to be able to finish well. You didn't get the actual position, but does at least the performance in the race lift the team?
Oh, yeah, but I think that's been too much of the story of the year, you know. So much potential, a lot of hard work, and no reward. So, you know, it'd be great if it could pay off at some point. But, yeah, very proud of them, and we got another 4 to go, you know, that we can really do well, and we'll keep trying.
All right, once again, Sebastian Bourdais, so close.
You want to comment on that?
Well, I think once Sebastian goes back and looks at that replay, he will see that Mike Conway was charging down the inside and ended up hitting the right rear of Charlie Kimball's car, which bounced Charlie's car over into Sebastian's, which then put him into the tires. So he doesn't know the full story yet, and I think that once he does see it, then he'll agree that Charlie Kimball did an exceptional job here today and certainly deserves to be standing on the podium.
A lot of surprises in this race today, and you're just looking at one of them right there with Charlie Kimball taking home a 2nd place finish. And how about the man that has moved into 3rd in the championship chase, our winner back at St. Petersburg, Rick?
Well, yeah, we're just sitting here talking with Elio, and he's like, I never thought I'd say I'm so happy to get to be, what, 6th
place in Toronto. I mean, my best result up to this day, believe it or not, was 1998, driving for Bettenhausen team, 10th place. Other than that, I was just actually hitting the wall or somebody's hitting me. So I'm extremely proud of the Penske Truck Rental boys. They did a great job in pits, and 6th place in the race was great, but 3rd place in the championship, it's even better.
A lot of the other drivers we've been talking to saying there was a lot of dicey driving going on at the end, especially around the restarts. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with the push to pass, you don't have much. The people that save in the end, it was definitely taking advantage of it. And I was just literally, I was trying to survive today, because today it was a big day for us, especially seeing big containers making mistakes. So for us, it's great going to Edmonton. We're really good there. Can't wait to be there already.
All right, Elio Castroneves happy with 6th. What a concept.
Well, this has been his worst track of all the tracks in his career. That's why this is so important to him. And another guy who this was his worst track was Tony Kanaan, who ended up finishing 4th today. Let's take a look at the remaining 5 races on the schedule, because as we mentioned in our promo coming up, it'll be Edmonton on the streets, then at Mid-Ohio and Sonoma, which are road courses, Baltimore Labor Day weekend, which is a street course, and then they'll finish the season September 15th in Fontana on the oval there. Let's check in with Simon Pagenaud. He had a rough end to his day. How about it, Vince?
One of the best cars all weekend, but wrong place, wrong time a lot today, although you're out front for 20-plus laps. Take us through kind of the rough spots of the day, because there was a lot of contact.
Well, actually, race went really well. I don't know if I should be happy or mad, because I really felt like we could win this one, but strategy didn't pay off for us. Unfortunately, at the end, we had to pay for fuel. So, you know, we couldn't make it. We needed a yellow. So, you know, that's a bit of a shame, but don't really understand why I got penalized at the end there. You know, I thought I did exactly the same as I did all race long with Kimbo, and you know, I didn't spread the rules. I understand, you know, I got to stay on the inside, but if someone's going to wreck me, like Newgarden went into this hole and he was going to wreck me, I had to move back to let him give him some room. So I have to talk to Bob Arfield and understand.
Trying to figure out the exact definition of the rule. It's been a little murky these last couple of hours, Marty.
Well, as we always know in these things, these guys see what they think they see, and it's always different depending on who. What do you got?
Well, my final thought on that simply is that Josef Newgarden wouldn't have been out of control if he didn't end up being moved over by Simon into the dirty lineup. So I think Simon takes the blame on that one.
Coming up next on ABC, Wimbledon Gentlemen's Final Highlights. And the next stop for the IZOD IndyCar Series, it'll be a race on ABC Sunday, August 5th at Mid-Ohio. Congratulations to our race winner, Ryan Hunter-Reay. For our entire ESPN on ABC crew, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.
Guys, want to grab the trophy? Sunshine Girls in the shop. They're trying to throw fire up.